Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have you back again this week for another great podcast. It is so great sharing experts that's going to give you tips on how to run your business. Remember, my 6P business owner formula, I want to help you in those 6P areas that we want to talk about each and every time. And today I've got a guest that's going to do that in the area of productivity. So today, Teryn's with us. Teryn, what will you help our listeners solve today on the podcast?
Thanks, Gary. I'm so excited to be here. I would love to help people get a better understanding of really what is productivity? Why do we all want it, right? What is this thing? And just really in general, living a more productive life every day.
Man, with this being early in the year, I know people have this challenge of how do they want to be more productive? They want to do the things that they want to. So I'm so excited to have Teryn Mozaffari with us. She's the owner of the Happiness Factory Coaching and a certified high-performance coach. She considers helping others discover ways and make decisions on how to live more productively is her life's work. And she finds great joy in helping others improvement over their performance and live better lives. Teryn, it is great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks, Gary.
I'm so excited about this topic because with it being early in 2023, people are thinking about, I want to make some changes and I need to be more productive. And we're not talking just about work. It's also in our personal lives. We want to be able to accomplish and do certain things that we want to do. So I think I want to start off with the question is, what do you think is the number one habit people can implement to really be more effective?
Such a good question. Yeah, more effective too, because I love that you said that word. I love words that are inextricably connected. Yes. And being effective is absolutely a key part of being productive. So I've discovered looking back, and we're at this precipice, right? With the start of a new year. And what people are doing is they're looking back and they're not feeling as productive because they're surveying 2022 and was like, I didn't do that as much as I would have liked to, or I would have liked to have hit this, and can arrange on a number of things, whether it be business or personal, but they're definitely starting to go, okay, here we go. It's time to rev up again, right? So we do want them to be more productive. And this number one habit, oh my gosh, the number one habit I think people need to embody is the habit of beginning again. It is the habit of beginning again. We are really hard on ourselves when things don't go the way we thought they would. Maybe we didn't achieve at the height or the rate we wanted to, which are both productivity measurements. I call them metrics, right? We look at how productive we are based on how much we did or how much we made, or how many people we affected, right? And sometimes we beat ourselves down and it's really hard. We get stuck in this rut to begin again. So let me just make it clear too. A habit is an autoresponder. That's what that is. So some people like to call habits like, I have the habit of going to the gym. That's a routine. That's an actionable routine. A habit is building good habits in how we respond to the uncertainty and unpredictability of life, right? And that's one of the biggest pitfalls of productivity. Right. Things come our way, we're like, whoa, I did not expect that. And it kind of stops us and we lose momentum. But if we can build the habit of beginning again, stepping up and saying, it's okay, that happened. And now I'm going to move forward. And there's skills that will support that. But the number one habit, Gary, begin again and again and again.
I love that, Teryn. And what a great thing with this being, like I said, in January of 2023, because a lot of people have had that feeling. They may have even made that New Year's resolution. They may have made it as a goal. We can determine however they want that's there. But sometimes we don't think, well, how do I now implement it? And now we're in that struggle point that really what you're saying is each day, if I failed yesterday, begin again today.
Yeah.
And do it. And I love it too, because again, we're talking professionally as well as personally, because I talk about 6 life domains when I talk to my coaching clients, and it's in the area of health, relationships, professional, financial, learning, and spiritual. But it's also, when we think about in our professional life, it's about the work. Because sometimes, we've got this big project that's due, but we don't have time to do it. So I love that philosophy. And it really sets, what we're doing is we're really kind of setting a mindset for the individual. And you and I both believe in a mindset is kind of a mental attitude and inclination. And we can have a fixed state of mind, or we can have that growth state of mind that's there, and it's giving that growth stage there. So with yourself, what do you think it does with the mindset when you have that philosophy of beginning again all the time?
So my biggest metaphor, and I'm pretty sure everyone will relate to this. It's like laundry. We're never done with laundry. We're not. And we can kind of bemoan it and get frustrated about it. Like, oh man, I did all this laundry and I folded it and I pressed it and I put it away and whatever that looks like for whomever. But at the end of the day, it's never done. There'll be another batch and it will come again. And there was a shift. I noticed that literally with laundry when I finally accepted that the work is never done and my momentum is not sustaining. My motivation is not sustaining. I will always be beginning again. Always. I always have an opportunity. It's kind of like reset, right? Or recharge.
Yeah.
And I begin again multiple times throughout the day. Multiple times. So if people can think of improvement, like what we are doing, how we're trying to elevate that growth mindset, there's never a finish line. And that's okay. Like, we don't need to be discouraged about that. We can get excited about the opportunity to begin again, and sometimes that beginning again is like from failure. But let's say you killed it yesterday. Guess what? You got to get up and kill it again.
That's right.
Begin again. Start the laundry. Do it again.
Well, let's kind of play off of that and talk about what keeps that. We know we've got to do it again, but what keeps that productivity flowing as we get into it? Because now, we understand that we've got to do it again, but how do we get ourselves past the point of, okay, I have to do it. Instead, I get to do it. We change those words.
You did it. You just did it right then. It becomes, again, this is a habit that we're trying. It is not automatic. This is not normal, if we want to even put a label of normalcy, whatever that is. But here's the thing. Human nature will always, and I believe this to my core, everything we have to do, whether we choose to do it or it's thrust upon us, is a have to, a should, or a supposed to. All of it. It always begins there. It will never, And so if we continue, this is how I view productivity flow in a kind of a triangle, the pathways, right? We can continue down that road somewhat unconsciously. And it still is, I have to do the dishes, or I have to get that report done. I'm supposed to attend that meeting and I have to, and really I should probably be prepared. Those are all true statements. There's nothing wrong with them. But if we continue down that road of the have to, should, and supposed to, I want you to imagine as though someone keeps putting just a little bit of weight on you and it gets heavier and heavier. And what it ultimately ends up in the long term, it ends up in resentment. Maybe not so negative as resentment. Sometimes it can be, but sometimes it's just general dissatisfaction. Like it loses its flavor because it's just, I should do that. I'm supposed to, I have to. Now, if we go back to the beginning though, because remember, it always starts with that should, supposed to, and have to. The quicker we can identify what's my ownership in this? Does this really need me? Is this part of my passion? Is there any inkling of this that I'm passionate about? Is there any part of this that allows me to grow, to be challenged? Is there any part of this is contributing to other people? So is there a part of this I want to, and I get to? Because you said that. I love that. Gary, we're right on the same page. The quicker we can shift that supposed to, should, and have to a want to and a get to, then we start to flow. And then we move to gratitude. We move to momentum. We move to satisfaction and fulfillment. And really, that's the difference between productivity and not productivity. Productive people are not people who get 100 things done in a day. Productive people are the people who, whatever they get done, regardless of the quantity, and whatever they don't get done, they can look at it and say, you know what, though? I'm grateful for that. And I really got to do that. And then that number one habit comes in, and tomorrow I'll begin again.
I love that, Teryn, because it's so true as the words we use. It's kind of interesting, shows you what's coming up today. I do some meditation, and I always get kind of a meditation of what this is. And before I came on here, I did one for 2 minutes. And my whole meditation today is built around observe energy of words.
Oh,
observe the energy of the words you're using, but also that you're hearing. Think about this yourself. If I say no, what's the energy of that word versus I say yes?
Yeah, there's definitely, a visceral direction I'm going. Just hearing you say that right here.
Yeah, that choose, I choose to do this versus I have to do this, and it goes through everything we have. And I look at it sometimes sometimes in my writing, I have to choose to write. I love to write, but I have to be people say, oh, you got to be in that mode. No, you got to put yourself in that mode. So instead, I have to choose to write that blog and give that information and share that information. I have to choose to show up on a podcast and be present here because, I do some mega batching, which they call where you do multiple ones. And I do multiple ones in a day because that helps me get more accomplished. And I'm able to get my guest on, just like Teryn's on with us today. So you get to choose those things. But I want people to just think about that. Just as you were talking, and it really just came up. And because it's a meditation I'm going through today, the energy of the words that you're using. So not only the words that you are using, what is the energy that's giving you in each one of those areas? And we're both high performance certified coaches. And we know that one of those pillars is energy. You have to have energy to show up each and every day. And in productivity, it comes out. So let's kind of flip to that. And we've talked about some already, but let's get into some of them skills and actions that we can do to really help us increase that productivity and things that you've helped coach people on and share with your clients to be able to increase their productivity.
I love that. So I zero in, man, the list can get really long, and I agree with you, the words we choose. So the skills are 3 mindsets. Skills are, yes, there are skills of how fast I can type on a computer. Okay. Those are not the skills I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about mindset skills. There's 3 mindset skills that are essential to elevate and increase productivity. The first one would be what I talked about, is those habits, that getting better at our reaction to things. That I'm going to speak personally because I love to think we're all in a party together, but I'll talk about me personally. The better I am getting at responding to uncertainty and unpredictability, which typically fall into a camp of challenge, to be honest. Yeah. Sometimes they're happy surprises and I welcome them, but often they are challenges, right? The better I can get at responding to them in a way that is closer related to who I am trying to become, the quicker I can recover or move forward or find how that unpredictable surprise is going to fit into my life, right? So building that habit of reactivity. The second skill, it's going to sound super obvious, but it's time management, right? And it's I know, I should time block. I should do this. I should do that. You see how I'm supposed to do that and I have to. But if we build a relationship with time that is totally in a room of its own, and that room is spacious, I have enough time to be the person I want to be. I have enough time to get things done today that will matter. I have enough time. So time management and learning how to use it, I'll talk about that in just a second in the actions of productivity. Yes, time is important and time management, but your relationship with time. There's so much in our culture. People are walking around like, I don't have enough time to do that. I just didn't have enough time. And that's, I'm not saying they're not right or that's not true, but what's their relationship with that time? Like, wow, I may be feeling short on time, but I have enough time to step into this and live, be present, right? So getting that relationship. And then the third one, that skill of beginning again. I will always end and begin with beginning again and again and again and again. The best place to practice, I love that you mentioned meditating. I love the practice of beginning again, exercising that muscle on the mat, right? Because if there's any meditators listening, and I know you'll relate to this, man, the number of times I have to begin again, I've had to really work at not being a little bit of a drill sergeant for myself and just allowing that, like, oh, I jumped on a train. I'm going to get back at the station. Oh, I jumped on a train. I'm going to get, and it's okay because it's the muscle of returning that I want to build, not the never going away, because that's not life. That's not life. Especially like I think about my business. I have no idea what's going to hit my inbox today. No idea. But okay, so that's the unpredictability, right? I surrender to that. But what I can harness is how quickly I respond or choose to not respond.
Right.
Like I'm not going to check my email for an hour. That sounds a little scary, but begin again, right? Okay, so those are the three kind of skills.
Okay.
Now, 5 actions. I teach to these in a lot of my my productivity workshops. I call them reboot, where we want to reboot our productivity. I love to like fine tune that and set some objectives and milestones for the year and do all sorts of battle boards and fun stuff like that. I also speak to it in my group coaching. I do those for individual groups that are varying demographics, but I do them for professionals, and then my one-on-one coaching. I usually am always kind of pointing to these because I'm a productivity expert. So that's what I point to, right? And the first one is those bookend routines that we know. I know my bookend routines hold me together as a human being and as a spiritual being. Bookend routines have certain rules. No one else gets to tell me what they are. They're not dependent on anyone else. They're fun and I enjoy them. And they're very easy to remember. So I'll just give you an idea. My bookend routine in the morning is built over like 5 years. So it's going to sound extensive. And I have to remind people when I'm coaching them, you won't start here. Start small and find what feels good. Find what feels good to you. But the first thing I wake up in the morning, I do a little sweep. I do a little stretch. I take a drink of water and I do my own personal prayer practice. And then I pick up a few things around my bed because I don't like to trip and fall. I just pick up a few things. Okay, so that's my quick sweep. Then I head into my RJPPM. I read, I journal, I meditate, I do another prayer practice, and I plan. I plan my day out. Then that's what I do. Then I go work out. I move. Somehow I move. And I have, so again, it's not, well, what do you do when you work out? Well, that's not, I mean, I could tell you, but that doesn't matter. It's the practice of that, allowing that time, that abundance of time, right? And then after I'm done with my movement, I go into 6-6 BBDL. And it's just my way of getting myself and my space ready for the day. So it's very easy to remember. Do you see? And at night I do a sugar 8. I won't tell you what it is. It doesn't matter. The point is I look forward to it. It is not automatic. The minute it becomes automatic, it's now not serving me.
Right. And it becomes your true routines. So before we have to wrap up, you have 4 more actions. So we're going to have to rapidly go through these.
They're super easy. Project prioritizing, planning, scheduling, and reflecting. All 4 of those. And guess what? I do all 4 of those. I teach and I train and I coach people to do those daily, weekly, monthly, and annually. prioritizing, planning, scheduling, and reflecting is so important. So those are kind of like the productivity must-dos.
Well, and the thing I love about it, Teryn, is they're all things that you're controlling.
Yeah.
And see, the problem with productivity, the reason people get thrown off, I believe, is we aren't controlling it anymore. It's controlling us. And it goes back to the words, goes back to our first that we talked about. I mean, everything there. And it's saying what's an inventory. Just like you said, for you, your bookend routines, it doesn't matter what you do, but you make sure you have time each morning to do that. And I'm sure if you're like me, when you don't have that morning routine or that end of the day routine, you feel off all day.
Yeah.
Because who's controlling it? The day is controlling you versus you controlling the day. So,
and I may not always all do those, but I'll note them. I'll say, oh, I don't have laundry today to do. Gratitude. I don't do it, but I noted it, you know, or if I'm on vacation or whatever, I still do my routine, even though I physically don't do it. I acknowledge that it's there and I don't have to do it, which is a gratitude thing sometimes. Well,
some great advice. And I know you have, for our listeners, that if they want, you have the capability with the bookend routines builder worksheet that you're willing to give them.
Absolutely.
Do you have a link where they can go to it, or do you want us to put it in show notes?
I'll send it to you and you can put it in show notes. It's just a downloadable PDF that I kind of share with people to get them started on those bookend routines. And again, that's a developmental process that you'll begin again and again and again.
Yeah, my routine has changed drastically. And the thing is, you start. It can be as short as 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes to start. Mine is about an hour now. And I'm thinking about even taking it longer this year. But then you have to be able to adjust that and change. So we'll have that in show notes. You can go to smallbusinessanswerman.biz and we'll have that show notes where you can go get that and download it. Check out our website. It's happinessfactorycoach.com. That'll be in show notes too. But before I let you go, I really want to ask you this last question because I'm asking every guest, what is a small business tip that you would give for our listeners?
I think the tip I want to share with your listeners today and with you, Gary, because you've been so generous to have me here, is that I've discovered the meaning of life. And the meaning of life is the collection of meaningful experiences that we will look back on when it's time for us to leave this planet. And so my business tip is for all business owners, no matter what your job is, to elevate every experience you can. And that doesn't mean people will always elevate with you, but we choose that. And so every experience I step into, this one I'm sharing with you, when I get off with this and I move into my next thing, my primary objective is how can I elevate that experience? Because that is what makes my life meaningful. That's the meaning of life.
That is awesome, Teryn. I truly appreciate you sharing that because I think some people are reflecting now that we're back into the grind of January. In December, we slow things down for the Christmas season, for New Year's, and then we get back into the grind and then we feel like we're in that grind. Well, what you're talking about is what is that meaningful experience that you want out of what you're doing? Yeah. And how are you elevating not only the people, but the experience that you're appreciating? And that fits with personal as well as professional. You know, you got in the business because you were excited. What are you getting out of that? What are you sharing besides just making money? Yeah. Well, how can you make a difference in people? Your employees, your team members, I call them. You can make a difference for those. You can create a company that's totally different than others and create that positive culture. So, Teryn, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
Now, remember, go to happinessfactorycoach.com. We'll have it all in show notes for you. That also we'll have in show notes that bookend routines builder worksheet. She's going to give that to you so you can download that. All that information will be in smallbusinessanswerman.biz in the show notes there. So as you go away from this podcast, the question I always ask people is, what action are we going to take? The action I want you to think is, I want you to think about your productivity. And with your mindsets, what are you having in those areas? She talked about responding, time management, and beginning again. What do you need today to begin again? Because you may have told yourself a goal or something that you're not doing. Just begin again. Don't get stuck that you haven't done it this last week that you promised yourself you would. Just begin it again each and every day. So thanks again for listening. We look forward to having you back next week with another great guest. And this is the Small Business Answer Man podcast. This is Gary Wilbur saying, make it a great day.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows and you get your time back.